Moving on to the next session, building flexible front haul to deliver 5G. As new 5G use cases roll out, flexible front haul configurations are becoming an essential ingredient for balancing the latency throughout and reliability demands of advanced 5G applications. At the infrastructure front, increasing the number of radio units along with the disaggregation of the 5G network devices, especially the DU and CU, is driving the need for a front haul network. I would like to invite for this session Ankur Chauhan, Head R&D Engineering Airtel, Digvijay Sharma, Senior Director Sales, Ciena Communications India, Sandeep Dhingra, CTO, Network Software and Services, STL, and the session is chaired by Vikram Tewatia, Deputy Director General, COAI. Over to you, Mr. Tewatia.
Firstly, at the outset, thank you very much to Voice and Data for inviting me to moderate this panel. And we have a very exciting panel with Sandeep, Ankur, Digvijay with us. So it is a very, the topic is interesting because so far what one normally heard was, okay, access network and backhaul network. अब ये front haul is a new term which more like, the media seems to have coined a new term and, they've built in a term called cross haul inside it as well. So it is timely that, we all on this panel are going to discuss some of these issues relating to front haul. And it's not just a plain front haul, but a flexible front haul. So we have eminent panelists out here who are going to talk about this interesting new topic, and particularly with us in India looking at 5G coming up. So before we begin a discussion, the interesting part is that India is the world's #1 consumer of data, right? At 13 GB per connection, the next nearest is South Korea, which is about 8.7. And they've had 5G networks for many years now, and we are yet to launch, right? The other good news is that India is in the top 5 countries for 4G availability. So as per OpenSignal, now 4G means availability, the implication being that as you segue into 5G, obviously, what are the changes that we foresee? So I'm personally looking forward to a very interesting discussion and what are the thoughts on flexible front haul to deliver 5G particularly. And more importantly, what are the new 5G use cases which would be important for India? So with that, I'll begin with you, Sandeep, to share your thoughts on, how legacy players would like to embrace a front haul scenario. Over to you, Sandeep.
Thanks so much, Vikram. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Sandeep Dhingra. I'm CTO for Network Services in Sterlite Technologies. I think the question is apt and timely and vital. Why do you say it's timely? You already mentioned a new term coining in, right? It's vital because there's a huge amount of spend that happens in RAN. If you look at this CapEx and OpEx, right? And in terms of where we are on the verge of getting 5G, huge shift in terms of what could possibly be achieved, right? But at the same time, we do also have a huge amount of legacy. That means 700,000 or 800,000 towers, in huge amount of significant amount of 3G, 4G connections, still using older technologies. CPRI definitely was a kind of a good solution for the time, but it was TDD based, synchronous, very low delay requirement, distance wise as well. It cannot support the requirements that are coming up because of MIMO and the processing of also managing the unprocessed signal at the radio, right? That kind of throughput that is required, that just CPRI is just not going to be able to do it, or the latency requirements that you mentioned, Vikram. So CPRI definitely is legacy. When you are legacy, you have to go to the modern technologies, the modern protocol, let's say EC3 to begin with. Now, within that, flexibility is key because I cannot just throw away my legacy. It is going to be, converting all of this towers to newer scenarios, adding small cells in 5G scenarios. It is going to be a process. It's going to be an evolution. It's going to be a migration. It will be a coexistence that we all understand, right? So from that perspective, you need flexibility. Flexibility to support what is existing, flexibility to support what is coming. What is coming also has need for flexibility in terms of, since we are moving to disaggregated, cloudified kind of scenario in RAN, that basically gives you an option. Where do you put your radio? Where do you put control unit? Where you put distributed unit, depending on various options. So we're definitely going to go in a little bit more details, but flexibility in front haul is essential to support all of these changing higher requirements to scale. And there is one more level of flexibility needed, which in the front haul, which is at the physical level, right? That is in terms of when you are connecting the fiber, various distance, latency, and throughput requirements. How do you do that in a way that you don't have to do multiple trips there? How do you make sure that you kind of manage all those scenarios at the physical level? Since Sterlite is, a fiber company as well, we are working in that area as well. I hope that makes sense in terms of need for flexibility in the front haul. And we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about what that flexibility is, what it means, and how do you exploit that in a cross haul scenario, which not only front haul and back haul, but there's a mid haul in between CU and DU. So with that, I'll let Digvijay and Ankur continue the discussion.
Thanks, Sandeep. I mean, I just share a couple. I'll agree with the thoughts, whatever you shared, and those are very valuable. Just few addition from my side is that 5G is all about the flexibility, what we say. I mean, there's so much talk about the access network is bringing the flexibility in all the corners of the pyramid in IoT throughput and the ultra latency. 5G is coming up with a very high requirement in terms of latency or in terms of the throughput. Front haul level optimizations are also necessary there. So that brings the front haul really in the front. We need a really flexible front haul, which can actually cater end-to-end latency, end-to-end throughput, and the different split architecture, which we'll be discussing probably coming later. So flexible front haul enables the flexibility of the 5G use cases to be achieved end-to-end.
Ankur, what would be interesting is, okay, you see, what does it mean for you, okay, as Airtel or, Sandeep at, let's say, STL? What does this mean in terms of implications for the consumer?
For the end consumer, when we talk, the experience, which is the foremost important, right? So the end consumers, how it is going to see the latency. If we talk in terms of the latency or the jitter, when we talk about the front haul as a key characteristics of it, apart from the throughput. So end-to-end latency, when we talk the 5G use cases, which can provide 2 millisecond or 1 millisecond latency, when we talk the front haul, which can provide lesser jitter, lesser packet drops, and can adapt to itself based on the scenarios in which network is operating right now and serving that particular customer. So flexible front haul is going to enhance the experience which user is going to face.
So what about, for the lay person, what it means is basically, out of the 5G, 3 use cases, one being enhanced mobile broadband, the other is ultra reliable, low latency kind of stuff, and the third is massive machine type communications, that typical pyramid thing. So in this, it's more about EMBB, and you are, ultra reliable, low latency part is what we are looking at for the flexibility and low latency in the front haul. Is that understanding right?
That's right, Vikram. Initial focus, what we see is that, I mean, massive IoT is also going to come. That is the real use case for 5G. initial requirement when we talk about the use cases like cloud gaming or the gaming experience which users are going to face. So that is where the latency is coming and coming at the front end. And fronthaul, which can actually provide its bit in enhancing the latency, whatever end-to-end user is facing is going to make a huge impact there. Definitely, throughput is a other important part. Expectations are clear from 5G. 5G is going to give us that 10x kind of a throughput. So that goes without saying.
All right, thanks. That's interesting. We'll come back to that point, but with that, let's move to Digvijay from Sienna. So, Digvijay, how can the split in 5G be leveraged for better applications and service revenue? So, ultimately, what Ankur is looking at is, hey, how does it help enhance his ARPU?
No, I think it's a good segue to the first question, right? I was just about to add in terms of flexibility. I just take there and come back to answer in specifics what you have asked. First thing is that flexibility has got it's an English term and it can be used in any way, and it has got many perspectives. Which aspect of the network that you're looking at? Flexibility from the perspective of migration also, because the first point that Sandeep touched upon. Today networks are with CPRI. And fronthaul is at the front, as Ankur said. So it's the neck. We don't want bottleneck to become the bottleneck, right? And it should be open and flexible. So flexibility in terms of when the service provider like Ankur, Airtel, Vodafone, they are starting to migrate to 5G, there should be enough flexibility in the fronthaul that this transition is easier. And as we go forward into the discussion, I think we'll talk about it, how that can be implemented. But that's a key aspect, how flexible it is when the transition is happening. That's one aspect. And the flexibility, then the second aspect of flexibility comes up when you touched upon ultra low latency, high bandwidth use cases where you're talking about QoS and things like that. The fronthaul should be able to adapt to different use cases and should deliver the quality of service as needed by the use cases that are being talked about. So that is also another aspect of flexibility that is expected out of this fronthaul network. Now, getting back to the specific use cases when the split comes up, what split offers to us. Split is opening up, which was earlier a closed ecosystem, everything residing into just beneath the tower or along with the tower. Right now, the RRH is split. There is a DU, then there is CU. So these things are split. And the interesting aspect of that, the control and management is also getting split. Earlier, it was confined all the way up to CU. When the control and management is split, there are a lot of new applications that come into the ecosystem, which are largely linked. When you open up control and management at the DU layer, there are a lot of applications that come into equation which are ultra low latency driven. Because now you don't have to go all the way up to CU, then to the core before you come back. So a lot of cycle time is preserved. And plus, when this controller management is open at CU and we are talking about virtualization and VNF, there could be compute resources sitting at DU itself. So the virtue of breaking up the entire ecosystem right at DU, plus there is a possibility of compute resource at DU, lot of new applications can come up, which could be highly latency sensitive, and it can have applications all of us can talk about, whether it is industry, whether it is security, whether it is facial recognition. Lot of new applications can come up. And when Vikram, new applications comes up, there are always creative minds who can talk about new service revenues, right? And that's in itself is a big topic. So I would say the flexibility, the split has opened up new avenues, both for control and management as well as compute, and that opens up a lot of new application and which new startups are coming up with, and then it would open up a new area of service revenue generation.
Thanks, Digvijay. I think it's very interesting. You see this whole global discussion moving on, Open RAN and more choices, disaggregation of the network. One of the things that we don't realize very often, and it doesn't get spoken of, is how much wire line in the network has an impact on the wireless part of the network. because very often, we just talk about wireless and, your mobile and no wires, but the wire line part has a very significant impact, and particularly, as we move to 5G. So coming back to you, Sandeep, Sterlite has a very good, impressive wire line or optical fiber footprint. So what do you say? How can the split in 5G be leveraged for better applications?
Yeah, I'll park that question just for a moment because I just want to expand what Digvijay and Ankur said and what you said initially, right? See, first thing is, specifically in the case of 5G, another way to think of this would be in terms of a network slice, right? When you talk about 3 use cases, and you have different slice for that, right? Now the slice basically has a dependency on how the overall, whether you follow the overall HCNFA architecture, how the orchestration works, but that is a very flexible software control virtual cloudified architecture. Now, in that context, if your RAN is not flexible, if your Flexhall is not flexible or not dynamic, it is not going to work, because slice in 5G is from an end-to-end user perspective. It does not end at the core. It has to with that. And within extending to the same thing is, when you talk about even in my mind, when we talk about revenue opportunity or service revenue, 5G with, of course, flexible RAN fronthaul opens up new business opportunity in the enterprise space, right? Whole the MMPC is all the new industrial activity space, right? And eventually to, let's say, connected cars and other at the lower latency space. So besides the broadband piece on the consumer side, there is definitely going to be great opportunity that is enabled by 5G in general, and then specifically it requires a flexible fronthaul on the enterprise side. And yes, I'm very happy that the deep fiberization is required for 5G, whether it is on the fronthaul and whether it is the mid-haul with CUDU, and of course backhaul is there. And I think whether if you have to connect fiber to the tower or the small cell, indoor or outdoor, you would look for different requirements, right? For example, you will look at different functional split in this environment, and each of these split you do require different type of fiber. Let's say if you want looking for a higher fiber count in let's say from tower to DU, RU to DU scenarios, or you want to, if you want to have a longer distance, what kind of fiber you want to do, single mode or multi-mode, right? In terms of that is just one angle, right? But there's another angle in terms of there is a great discussion of using PON as a 5G any-haul kind of network. So you use front haul, mid-haul, backhaul, you use passive optical network. Now, current technology, if you look at 2.5 gig, may not be sufficient for front haul type of scenario, but look at XGS PON and 25G PON. That basically has a tremendous amount of opportunity, because this is a good amount of network is already built and has capacity. So economies will work a little bit differently. So that is something that is gaining traction. Of course, that is all about wired network. That is all about Sterlite as a domain. I'm very happy to see this happening. I'm very excited about the opportunity in front of us.
Hey, Sandeep, thanks. That's very interesting. So, that leads us back to you, Ankur, to say that, would significance increase in a multi-services vendor scenario for a flexible fronthaul?
It definitely have an impact, Vikram. So coming to the point, final aim, let's have that final aim clear, is to provide the enhanced 5G experience to the end user, right? So if we continue from the previous question itself, the split architecture, that split architecture provides an opportunity for the different vendors to interoperate with each other. And when things get interoperated with among the different vendors, the final experience has to remain intact. It should not be at the cost of multiple partners joining the component, but the end-to-end QoS, end-to-end experience has to remain intact. Why flexible front haul becomes important there further is that different vendors, when they talk even at the front haul, they have different engineering design in terms of the buffer, in terms of the processing. So they have to adapt with each other, and that is where the flexible front haul plays a critical role. So in the multiple vendor environment, flexible front haul is even more important. That's how I look at it.
So, Ankur, tell me, so far the legacy networks are run by managed service providers, right? So typically, you would have a SLA with the OEM, maybe an Ericsson or a Nokia or a Huawei, and they would run the network for you. Will it, as you say, multi-vendor synchronization, will it increase complexity for a TSP, or how does it benefit a TSP?
I'll come to the benefits first. So having the different components coming from the different vendors, it gives a opportunity of window where different innovations can be parked, and solution can be customized based on the operator requirements, which finally reflects operators' customers' requirement, and which finally enhance the end user's experience. That is the fundamental benefit which we see from this approach. It comes with its own complexity because different solutions coming from different vendors, how to ensure that end-to-end SLA. So we look at it in a totally different way. We segment it in different parts, and we ensure that each segment follows its portion of the SLA, and it stitched to the end-to-end SLA. I will not shy away saying that it adds slight complexity to ensure that end-to-end SLA, but benefits which we see actually are much more when it comes to the customized in India specific requirement in our end-to-end solutions. That is the bigger advantage or bigger picture. That's how we see it, Vikram.
Hey, Ankur, that's very interesting because ultimately whatever we do is you are being able to deliver a better service or a more option to the user. And given that 5G use cases will vary substantially, one of the things that I keep coming across is India is the second largest producer of milk in the world. And milk has a very short, let's say, shelf life. But given if you digitize the whole, milk supply chain, so imagine the potential for India in the 5G application space, right? So this is just, as one example. But then coming back to you, Diggy, is that what can be done to improve this flexibility of the split architecture?
No, I think first of all, your example is too good, and about the milk distribution. Look at it. You never thought e-commerce would come in such a big way. We never thought the food delivery, which is also a perishable item, right, coming over to your doorstep. You have things like Licious delivering non-vegetarian food, which is also a very perishable item. So all these things are driven by technology, right? And we have seen even without 5G, 4G is enabling these ecosystems. And with 5G coming up, with so many potential, and 5G is largely driven, focused on various user applications, right? Like latency is not a criteria just because of fancy of it. It is because certain applications want it. The QoS part of it, the scale part of it, everything getting connected. So definitely the things are moving towards keeping customer in mind and the applications in mind. Now, coming back to the question, how these how the split architecture is improving the flexibility, how we can improve this flexibility. First of all, in front haul, if you look at today, it's about the transition, right? If we have to increase flexibility, we have to think of the transition the way today's networks are, where you have 4G based architecture and wherein 5G comes up, and it is a different architecture altogether. There's a split happening there of things, right? And this split plus the massive amount of bandwidth and latency requirements that are coming up, it's a great boon to company like STL, and like for us, the fiber is going to be there. It's a necessity. There are no two ways around it. Now, when these transitions are happening, the devices that come as part of for front haul should be flexible. They should be able to take up different kind of interfaces which are coming up because of open architectures, like whether it is eCPRI, whether it is ORAN based interfaces, or whether it is existing CPRI, right? All these different types of interfaces should be supported by the network device which is sitting at DU, which is interfacing the RRH, the radio unit, with the DU, and then back to CU, the front haul and mid haul connectivity. These devices should be able to take up different kind of newer open architectures as well as existing architecture. So that flexibility should be there. Second part is that the line rates, if you talk about today, even 10 gig from a radio head is considered to be a very big bandwidth. But when you talk about more evolved architecture and you cover all these sectors and high spectrum, then even 50 gig is considered to be small bandwidth when you're talking about a particular RH. So the solution that is there should have flexibility in terms of taking up all the connectivity. There's another aspect. Sorry, go ahead, Vikram, you had.
Yeah, so much of whatever we can talk of flexibility. Much of flexibility only emerges provided you have a uniform, globally harmonized standards, actually, because flexibility means I can pick and choose. I mean, Ankur would be happy to pick and choose which vendor and what solution, but the confidence that any TSP would get is based on what standards for different devices are there, and which will then help the ecosystem. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, agree. So the standards of ORAN standards, they are coming up, and I'm happy to see entire industry is so vehement about it and so passionate about it. And there are companies coming around it. But still, if we, in my personal opinion, and in my humble opinion, maybe Ankur and Sandeep can add, those open standards are still not proven to the ground. There are still hesitations around embracing those standards. So once they come up, obviously it will add more flexibility. My point here is that when these standards are coming about, so there is a transition when you embrace it. Like you have heard Rakuten, you have heard Dish in US. These are still considered to be the pioneers in their field, and they are first up. They are harbingers, or whatever English word we can attach with them. They are leading it at the front, but they are fresh, greenfield deployments. Herein we are talking about in India, we started with 2G and then TDM and all those things. Plus we have pressure of ARPUs on us. Those guys enjoy ARPUs of, if you talk about Canada, they enjoy ARPU of $60. And here we are talking about $2. There's a slight difference, right? So my point here is that first, these open standards are they will add a lot of flexibility, but it is there's still some time for them to have the acceptability in the environment that we live in, wherein you are dealing with so many legacy technologies, and you have to invest into newer technology, at the same time earn from them. So it's a gradual transition that would be happening in this market. So the concept of flexibility changes a bit for us. In a way, we need flexibility in which we go to the desired optimum greenfield Rakuten kind of a standard, but at the same time, we do it in a piecemeal stepwise phase. That does not cause disruption to the pocket as well as disruption to the network. So that is the flexibility that should be there, and hence the ecosystem, the devices that get in, they should have the capability to support the existing interfaces, the open interfaces, as well as the next generation interfaces which are proprietary in nature, whether it is coming from Samsung, whether it is coming from Nokia, whether it is coming from Ericsson, right? So that flexibility should be there.
Great. So that's very interesting, because this whole thing will drive the ecosystem, and of course India may be a bit late in the 5G thing, but I guess the development of the global ecosystem, you can leverage on that as and when we deploy 5G systems. But this, Sandeep, brings me to an interesting part, is this: how crucial is RAN virtualization we keep talking of virtualization and, NFV. And what would be the role for a better front haul fiber deployment in such a scenario?
See, the flexibility that we all talk about at scale, you cannot have it without network function virtualization. And I'll go in terms of having centralized control. My vision and that cross all vision is that I can front haul, mid haul, back haul, everything I can control from a central place. Not only that, but active and passive components, I should be able to manage, control any part of transport from anywhere in an automated way. That is the flexibility. I'm not saying that we want, that is the flexibility we need, because the kind of skill that we are talking about, without that kind of automation, eventually we will not be able to realize what we have. The second thing that Vikram, you pointed out rightly, and Digvijay said this thing is, flexibility to support all these technology migration constraints is required. Then ecosystem is the keyword here. And there are two ecosystems. One ecosystem is, which Ankur deals day in, day out, right? Hardware, what hardware COTS will support, what kind of VNF, CNF on the CU, DNO, by the way, that is all entire NFV scenario here, disaggregated and virtualized. I can't think of future of 5G without that, because this is a proven cloudification model. So it is going to work. But what I was saying is there are two set of ecosystem. One is at the node level. Earlier, hardware and software were not disaggregated. So control plane and data plane were not disaggregated. You got one appliance. So there was, one vendor. Now they have disaggregated. So there's an ecosystem for that. Now, additional ecosystem is at the network level. So network also has expanded. Now, there was no cloud earlier. There was no edge cloud or telco cloud and all of those things. Now, if you an entire HC NFV architecture that 2012 was, now it is being implemented. So this whole thing has to work holistically. You cannot just leave one part less flexible, another part more flexible, one part less modular, other part more modular, because again, end-to-end user experience or end-to-end, what you want to achieve will not be able to achieve. In this ecosystem, Vikram, it is going to be hybrid, specifically when we are transitioning. It is going to be multi-vendor. It is going to be multi-technology. It is going to be, a lot of multi-thing. And in these scenarios, I personally think system integrator has a big role to play, which what I do as a living. Because it is not going to be possible for a single vendor to stitch these things together of 20, 30 different vendors, and both levels, I say. System integrator at the node level and system integrator at the network level. Now, the managed services are also going to be evolved, as I see, right? There was not a whole lot of open source in managed services earlier. If I'm supplying something, it is easier for me to manage. But open source, like who do you call at 2 a.m. in the morning, creates different kind of sets, right? And the code is still developing. How do you do managed services with DevOps environment? These are not straightforward answers. And somebody like Ankur and Airtel, I spoke to Manish Gange the other day. He's not going to, Airtel is not going to have, 7 different system integrators in, like you do access, you do fiber, you do this. They want, and you do integration, software, customization, all of those. They want 1 or 2 people, solution level and operation level who can manage all the downstream work. So that's why I believe that there is this whole new multi-vendor and open environment. There's a lot of play for system integrator like us.
So Sandeep, tell me, one of the things that we in India pride ourselves on is the whole, software prowess that we've got in software, right? And with this whole self-dependence or Atmanirbhar world, right? So, like I said, we often forget or not highlight the wireline part in the wireless network. Similarly, the whole 5G network is moving to a much higher degree of softwareization of the network, right? So as part of the softwareization of the network, obviously the dependence on fiber, or I also call it fiber in the air, that is the E and V band, right? Because there is no way that you're going to in a Connaught Place or a central business district like Dadar or some of these places, you'll be able to lay fiber, right? But what is the prowess, or in your understanding, the potential for Indian startups or Indian companies to leverage this whole move in the front haul space?
I think if I look at it as, once you disaggregate hardware from software, everything control and, of course, there are data plane optimization that you have to do on hardware. You need the processing power. You do innovation in terms of how do you maximum CPU capacity and power. That part is there. But the real magic is in the software. Like to be able to do various, whether it is VNF or CNF, multiple instances of DUs and CUs in front haul, where do you place automatically? To me, DU and CUs are nothing but microservices, like somebody like Netflix does on hundreds and thousands of this, right? Of course, there are various ways of slicing and dicing. And that is what, if I look at from Indian perspective, this is what Indians have been doing for, big vendors. Who is making core software for Cisco? Who is making, there are lots of the talent, lots of experience is there. I think the opportunity is right for 5G in general, but front haul specifically, in terms of creating these optimizations, creating new services, creating new, let's say, orchestration paradigms, right? Using AI and ML in this to self-healing, self-optimization scenarios. This is not going to be done manually. This has to be done this way. And that is, I think, Indian startup. And by the way, this area is still untapped because focus on the industry is still on interoperability. A focus on the industry is still on, it should work first, right? But this is the time to think about how are we going to, make it self-optimizing, self-healing kind of thing using AI, ML algorithms. And that is where I think there's a huge opportunity. There are a set of startups that I think what I'm looking at, I'll be happy to invest as angel investors. I think that is the kind of potential we're talking about.
Hey, thanks, Sandeep. So it's interesting. So overall, it means there's a lot of potential for Indian startups or software guys to use their, abilities in developing good applications in the front haul space. So, Ankur, coming to you, we are, coming to, let's say, the close of the discussion. But tell me, मतलब IPL का final हो रहा है stadium में, ठीक है? And I am sitting there and I want some great experience. So how is this flexible front haul going to provide me a good, let's say, in stadium experience?
Vikram, you are going to see very high definition video without having any latency. I mean, whatever the person sitting in the ground is visualizing. Maybe
Tokyo Olympics में attempt तो था, but वो बिचारी the Japanese were wanting to display that. Anyway,
right,
back to you.
Yeah, so maybe that delay what we see at home or in the mobile device and whatever is actually happening on the stadium may not be hundreds of microseconds, may not be more than that. So that kind of a experience which we are talking, that experience will not be like when India, Sachin makes a 6 and we see 2 separate claps from 2 different rooms. So I think 5G is going to minimize that gap. Whether somebody is watching the match on a broadband connection or somebody is going to watching the match on a 5G wireless connection, you will see that clap together.
All right, super. So some last thoughts, anything more, Digvijay, you want to add?
No, I think it was really a nice discussion overall. A lot of new learnings coming out of it. But with front haul coming in, coming back to your last question, Vikram, it's opening up things. The split per se, it signifies the fact that things are opening up. And with O-RAN concepts like coming in, it is a more fertile land, more easily. It's much more open for new small startups to invest and look at various avenues, not only in terms of just front haul, but also in terms of applications. So Make in India, it's opening up for in this ecosystem where things are split and they are open, both in terms of standards, both in terms of opportunity and segment of the network. It's not one end-to-end big telco player who's going to serve the the needs. So it's a good opportunity, and it is very much here. It's good for everyone, I would say.
Hey, Digvijay, thanks. Thanks to Sandeep and Ankur as well. This is very interesting space, as you all have highlighted. It is a movement to democratize the network, right? So that there are more options, and both for based on the kind of services that the market demands, and the ability of the telcos or network service providers to deliver that service for the end consumer. So there's significant development in this area, and thanks for sharing your views on this, flexible front haul to deliver 5G. I think there's great learning in this and huge potential from startups to the big companies that you all represent. So thank you very much for sharing your views, and it was a pleasure talking to you. And with that, I wish you all the best and hand back to Voice and Data. Back to you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Mr. Tewatia, and all the speakers for such a wonderful session.